Hey guys, and welcome to Faewood. I've got you down on the table for this video immediately because we're going to be going through all the materials that I want to do for the fairy necklace, the dark fairy necklace that I've got planned. Also, I can't be bothered doing my makeup, so it's just easier to not have to worry about that. Although I will apologise for my really ratty nails that are half covered in paint. I've been doing a massive project which I thought I would have finished by now, but somehow it's taken me longer than I anticipated. That's a video coming and I'm not going to tell you anything about that one. But yeah, what we're here to do is to go through the materials and start gathering the materials and start the initial planning phase of this necklace. Now, I will be honest and say that for this necklace, I don't have as strong a concept in my mind yet. I feel like I'm hoping, at least at this point, when I start putting all the bits and pieces together, that some shapes will start forming. I've got a sort of an idea. As you guys know, if you watched the video where I started my actual, planning of the necklace part, which I always do some pages in my art diary, and I get pictures that inspire me and then start sketching little pieces out. And I also like to get an idea of the materials that I want to use for the necklace as well. And a very rough sketch at this point of the necklace is here. So basically I have the thought that I want it to swoop around the neck. I've made one necklace like this in the past. Actually, I'll see if I have that and I'll show you guys. Hang on a minute. Alright, so this is a necklace that has a similar shape to what I've got pictured. Actually, maybe I'll just move this across here. It does drape really nicely around the neck, which is hard to really show here. But you can see that swoop that I've got. I wanted to recreate a similar thing just because I feel like I can get some lovely shapes with all of the organic stuff I've got happening, and then have fairy wings going up one side of it. And you can see for this one I've got a very flowy part, very segmented part up here, but I think for the necklace that I'm going to do, I'm going to have a clasp at the back and have the swoop come out from the clasp, so giving me a fair bit of surface area. And then this side's going to be, I'm thinking at this stage it's going to be wire work. I know I did get that soutache stuff, and the more I think about it, and I think I did say this in my other video, that I just don't think, I'm just not sure if it's going to go into this necklace unless it goes in as another textural element somewhere, which I don't know yet, but I still, I could have done it as the fairy part potentially because of the way I want that to drape, and I don't want that on a backing. But I just think it's going to be too much because, I just think you're not going to really be able to appreciate the techniques and the look of soutache if it's covered up by fairy wings. So I'm just thinking no go for that. But that's okay. It's something I can play with in future necklaces if it doesn't make its way into this one. Yeah, this one I played with all sorts of elements in it actually. Like you can see I've got cut out hearts in there with beads in there. It's very three-dimensional beadwork, which is something that I've really enjoyed incorporating into my work. I started doing it because I just hadn't seen it done, and I really love exploring new concepts, and that way it feels like it makes it my own sort of thing, and it's something a bit new. And I just love creating things that make people like bring enjoyment to people when they see them, you know, because it is something different and new, and you know, they get a kick out of seeing the finished product, which you know, this did. You know, people that saw it did really enjoy it, and I can't remember what I think I got 3rd place. I can't remember. I didn't win or anything. This was my first attempt at a competition piece for, which one was it? The Sydney Bead and Gem Show or something? My memory's terrible. I can't remember. But yeah, so, and I had 2 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks. I had very little time to make this, and I used every bit of my free time at the time to create this in time. It was frantic beadwork. I always tend to push myself to do these crazy things. Anyway, I just wanted to show that because it's a good example of the design style I'm going for. But, you know, hopefully I've come a long way since this, so hopefully, you know, I'll be able to improve on that. Not that I don't like this, mind you. I think I did a fairly good job, but there are little elements that I would do differently, probably. But I do really like the concept of this one, so yes, let me just move this out of the way. Okay, so I've got a piece of lacy stiff stuff here that I can place some things on. You guys have seen, well, I always say this, but it depends if you've seen my videos. If you've been following along with my videos, you've seen all of these materials before that I'm about to show you, because all the stuff that I purchased for this necklace I have shown, if briefly, on my channel. So the heart of the piece are these 2 bits of beautiful, like I believe it's quartz crystal with, they call it a titanium coating. Hopefully you guys can see that. They're brilliantly, well, I say brilliantly coloured. They're very beautifully coloured. They're quite softly coloured in terms of what you can find with these titanium coatings. Often the coatings you'll see on pieces like this are much more intense. A lot of them are quite brilliantly bluey purple as well. These are quite jagged pieces, of course, and you know, they have a bit of weight to them too, actually. And I got the 2 of them. When I got them, I wasn't sure entirely whether I would use both or not. And, you know, look, truth be told, I'm still not sure until I start to piece this together. I may decide, no, it's too much. But I did like being able to maybe put, you know, bring an element, have an element up here and have another element sort of further down. In fact, this one could work quite well at the bottom of the necklace, where I'm planning to have probably some little tendrils coming out. So being a fairy necklace, fairies are often very closely associated with nature. I'm not sure if they like, I know they were derived from paganism, and a lot of the Celtic pagan beliefs included fairies, but I think their idea of fairies was very different to our modern take on fairies. As in, I think the wings were not necessarily something that was associated with fairies. We often think of fairies as really cute, you know, really nice, beautiful, do lovely things, are pretty and all that. And, you know, traditionally fairies were not necessarily that. There was all different types of fairies. Some were like that, you know, beautiful maidens or whatever, but often would have a dark side to them as well. Very elusive. Some were very mischievous. Some were quite dark. Some were foreboding, telling of, you know, the coming of bad omens and things like that. So a whole range of different fairies. What I've read as well is that a lot of the fairies and the, you know, Unseelie Court, which is basically the hidden fairy realm, fairies were thought of to not be either dark or light. They were both. So, which I guess is true of humans. You know, I don't think humans are neither dark nor light. Some are certainly dark and some, you know, are light. But I think all of us have a bit of both in us. So, and I'm playing with those concepts. You know, there's going to be beauty in this, but I want to see a darker, mysterious, you know, foreboding look in with the beauty to really play on that duality. So that's the hope. Anyway, I'm not sure. So like I'm placing this with the thought that I'm, you know, going to maybe do some sort of sweep around like this. This is very loose. You know, some sort of sweep around the neck. I will need to make sure that it goes nicely around the neck, so I will have to play with this section here. Of course, I can adjust this side to allow enough room around the neck as well. And I do want a fair bit of room to play with over here because I am going to be using some of this shibori. So important when you're starting out a piece is really to have a look at all of your stuff together, I feel. This helps me so much to look at things in context. And when I look at these colours, there's certain decisions that I'm making straight away based on what I'm wanting to achieve. And, you know, straight away I can see this is not what I want. This is pretty, but it's too light. It's too, it doesn't have that dark, mysterious vibe to it. So that's not right. This is too light. That won't work. This I got to maybe incorporate with something else. I think I don't love this green for this piece. This is a bit too, I don't know, Kelly green or what have you. A bit too light green for me. I feel like this really is what I'm wanting, and possibly a little bit of this. You know, because maybe I'll overlap some bits. I don't know. Not sure how I will incorporate that, because I mean I could, if I wanted to honestly have both pieces in, I could maybe put a couple of pieces of the pink in a couple of sections and then have this be the main sort of swooping section. So I'm sort of wanting to maybe bring this right up close to the stone, I think, and maybe even go over the top of the edge of the stone. I do feel like I want this guy close to the bottom. Yeah, I think I do want this somewhere to the bottom, because I just feel like that's, when I'm looking at that, that makes a bit of sense to me. Yeah, I'm loving those colours. That looks beautiful to me. I really want to maybe bring in much more of these dark colours, I think, which does bring me to thinking about the crystals that I got. I think some of these are not gonna work. So I did originally think maybe I'd have some of these really pale ones in there, thinking maybe that would be an interesting little pop. But I don't think I do want that. I think I want just these darker stones. And they have, I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but they have a beautiful blue and green colour to them, which is just absolutely gorgeous. Which is why I got mostly these, because I kind of knew these would be more likely to work. And I mean, some of them could be nestled in. I might cluster some of them potentially. Yeah, and this chain, I love this. It's so pretty. I don't even know if you guys can tell what is happening here. So, can you see some of those colours? It is a little difficult to see, but it's that really dark kind of nickel colour, I guess, or gunmetal is another colour it's sometimes referred to. Yeah, that really dark grey colour, and then purpley green colours in the crystals that I think is just so pretty. So I'm loving this colour scheme at the moment, and I think I'm really gonna stick to these real deep colours. I did get these to hang 'em. Is that gonna work? See, no, I don't think that's gonna work either. No, that's not gonna work. But I think this GIMP will work. Yeah, I think this will work. I will have to play with the stitches with this. And this is a quite fine GIMP. You can get all different thicknesses of it. And potentially I might even expand on if this works out well, that is. My only concern is that, you know, if I stitch this down too hard, I think this stuff is quite fine and could break. So I think you do probably have to be a bit careful with how you stitch it. But that could look lovely and, you know, could give some beautiful lines and a bit of a silver edging that's different from beadwork because it gives a smoothness. So I love this because of the texture difference it's going to bring in, where beadwork has a certain look, chain has a different texture, obviously silk has a different texture, and I very much want to play with those textures. So I think my image, let me try and zoom out a bit further. I think this image was maybe a bit too pale in its conceptual design, and I really want to darken that up. So I will put some of those elements in here, like maybe leaves and things, but I want to try and keep them dark. Do you guys remember the crystals that I had for my other necklace, the Skeksis necklace? I had these beautiful crystals. I thought maybe something like that could work in it, but I feel like it takes away from things too much. It's a bit too bright. I'm really wanting darker colours, I think, so I don't think I will use that. Now I do have these, and I've totally forgotten the name of the lady who created them. I'll try and find the name and I'll put something on the screen if I find it. I got these from, I'm part of a bead buying group called Handmade Alchemy, and it's basically a place where you can buy handmade beads from different makers, and it's a great place to get really unique things. And this lady makes lots of wings, so I mean, how beautiful is that? I really feel like these have to go in here somewhere, like potentially somewhere in the middle. I could do the fairy wings. Yeah, that could look beautiful. I think I will probably do that, which does make me then consider this side where I plan to have fairy wings that I'm making, I'm not sure whether that's going to be a problem. But that just feels right to me, having those wings there. So I think I probably will do that. Potentially this could even still be wings, but a different colour, so that it doesn't take away from this, because I feel like this side can be colours that very much go together, but this could be something complementary but different. So I think that could be what I end up doing. Or it could end up being flowers with the dip resin. I did manage to get the dip resin. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but I ended up just having to pay a crazy amount of shipping. I think they might arrive soon, or if not, have arrived. I have some things that are at the post office that haven't picked up yet, so and that might be one of them. This looks just like a mess of stuff right now, but it is kind of solidifying for me a little bit. So, you know, like little clusters of crystals every so often, some beautiful shibori lace floating around. Somehow I'll need to work out a way to make these a bit three-dimensional. I think what I'll probably do is put a little bit of wire just behind it, just a touch, so that you can't see too much of it. So that it has some adjustability, and I can then connect it and have it, you know, have it how I want it, you know, like move them more three-dimensionally instead of it starting to want to sit flat or flop about or whatever. So I'll probably do that. The bottom part's going to have wire work coming out of it. I do want to try and do a bit of a taper to some point here, like maybe it'll taper and then come out again. Don't want it too long, so maybe about there. Yeah, and then I do want to put the mushrooms in there somehow, and I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but I have made some mushrooms out of polymer clay. That could possibly be the way that I do it, and maybe they won't be too obvious, but I just like that concept. I love that concept of having a fairy ring going around your neck. So I just really want to incorporate that somehow. So yes, that's what I'm thinking. Now I do have these, but I just don't think these are for this piece. They're shells as well, which, you know, isn't typically what you would have unless it was a water fae piece or something. And this is a bit more of a general fairy ring piece. So I think these will be good in another piece in the future. I love these so much though, so I can't wait to use them for something. But yeah, I think that I'll leave them off this one. I just had a quick break because my husband came home, so I just went down to say hello, and he was actually dropping in at the post office and picked up my Dip It stuff, so that's cool. So I was talking about how I wanted the Dip It resins, and I got them from that Clay Alley place. The shipping was nuts, but you know, what can you do? In Australia we don't seem to have options, so for some reason they gave me an empty tin. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe it's just a gift. I don't know if it's something you're meant to use for this stuff. So I got a bunch of different colours. I did get one, I think this was the one that was a opaque one as well, so that you can mix it in with the other colours to get opaque versions of them as well. I got a thinner and a strengthener. So that's going to be really fun to play with. That will be a video in itself, I think, because I might have to do some experimenting before I actually make anything for this. So expect a video playing with Dip It Fantasy Film very soon. Now, additionally, with the GIMP, I did get a mixed bag of GIMP as well. And I'm going to have to look at the listings again for them, because the texture of this is just so much different. Let me just zoom you in. So the texture of that compared to the dark silver one, vastly different, which is, you know, interesting. It'll be good for embroidery because it means I'll be able to bring in a different texture into my work with this other stuff. I've got a whole range of different colours that came in that mixed bag. I figured I'd get a mixed bag because then it gives me some fun colours to play with. The black could look really nice actually. In fact, using a fair bit of black in this could be quite good because then everything else will kind of pop a little bit, so that could be interesting. I feel like I will want to bring some of this purpley colour. Sorry, I keep forgetting where I've got you zoomed. I feel like I'll have to put a bit of this purpley colour in elsewhere in the necklace to tie it together, although I do love that it's kind of in these fairy wings as well. There is this purple too. That could be a good contrasting purple. So there's a couple of those colours, maybe even the dark green. The dark green's quite beautiful. So potentially these colours could work quite nicely. Nice, deep, dark, mysterious colours with the dark silvery colour as well. So yes, I'm very, very happy with those. Oh my god, getting these back in the thing is impossible. It's like trying to fold a map up again after you've unfolded it. Now, I did grab some seed beads that I can flick through and have a look to see what colours I'll use. I'll have to really go in depth once I've got some of the larger components in place, I think. But I am actually thinking I might end up bringing a fair bit of black or dark navy into it. So I'll probably try and see what really dark blues I have. I did just grab some at the moment, but I think I might have some that are even a bit darker potentially. I'm hoping so. I'd love one that was just, I mean that could work with some black thread. It's a transparent dark blue, like a sapphire I think it is. But I would like something even darker, and I think I do maybe have something that's sort of a blackened purple or a blackened blue colour, so that could be a good one to use. I may put some little pops of other colours in there, but I really want it to be that dark fairy aesthetic. Oh yeah, I want to give this a try too. This will be for gluing on the larger components. I was in a chat with, I think it was on one of Odin's videos, and someone was mentioning this well bond stuff as a good alternative to E6000. Now I've not used it, but it does sound like it can glue all sorts of things, saying wood, tile, glass and more. You know, strong bond. So yeah, I'm going to give that one a go. Let's just have a quick look through though this Game of Thrones costume book, because I do feel like this is going to serve as an inspiration to some of the techniques that I use. I'm going to try and find, I've been going through this book and having a look at some of the embroidery work, because that is one of the things that I really love. I love this like use of feathers in this too, but let me try and find a more detailed close-up shot. So this is a good example of some of the embroidery work. You can see those lovely textures in there that are just beautiful, and it seems to be from all different types of threads. And I love that it's trying to be a bit loose and not too, I don't know, when you see machine embroidery, it looks so different, much more perfected, but I prefer this, probably because I do love organic shapes so much. I love that there's different textures as well with larger pieces in here. Like that looks to be leather that's been cut into little petals and stitched on. I can see some delica beads in there. I can see what looks like plaited threads that are sewn on. I've seen that she sews on jump rings, probably closed jump rings I would imagine, so that they definitely don't come off. I'll see if I can find another example. So again, just beautiful texture. This one's a lot different though, a lot of ribbon and then some sort of mesh ribbon or material or whatever that's used as little petals, and then, you know, a wrapped, I don't know how she's done that exactly. It seems like it's stitched and then wrapped and stitched and whatnot. I love this mixture of materials though. Again, that just really rich, luscious, three-dimensional look. There's little petals down here that are much more three-dimensional as well. And then just beadwork in other spots to add different texture again to the flowers. That's probably a better look at it there. Again, delicas, fire polished glass, probably 3 or 4 millimeter. Looking very beautiful around that midsection. And then this one as well had some beautiful, so this actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, hang on. So this actually has the GIMP in it, and I don't know if you can see that detail there, but it gives it a texture. Sorry, I've run out of room to sort of push the book forward this way or things are going to start falling off the table. But it's giving it a lovely texture. It's mixed with beads, sequins, threads, just lots of luscious layers on layers on layers. So the reason I'm showing this is because this sort of embroidery is super inspiring to me, and I'd love to have this type of feel in this piece. I don't know if I can achieve it, but this is certainly an inspiration for me. I love this layered, luscious look. I will have to go through some of my threads and see if potentially I want to do some more stump work or just embroidery stitches and things on it. I think that could be really lovely, especially with the silk. I've got the GIMP. I just picture this piece being very much layering of luscious different textures and different techniques and things. So that is super inspiring to me. Well guys, I might leave it there for now because I feel this video's been long enough, and from this point I will start working on the necklace. Now that I've got some ideas really in my head, I actually feel a lot better about having a more solid idea of what I want to do now that I've sat and kind of gone through it. So I definitely recommend giving this sort of process a try when you're trying to formulate an idea. Don't expect your idea to formulate so quickly, I guess. Like, be okay for it to be something that percolates a bit. You know, sketch some things out, get some materials, have a look at it, you know, maybe go away, come back, do the same again, bring in some other possible materials, have a look at some reference material as well for inspiration. It all adds to the narrative of what you're doing, and it really helps me to start having a solid picture in my head of what I want to do, and then that still evolves as well. So I do have some ideas of placement of some things, which will get me started, but as I go, things will develop and change as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you've enjoyed sitting with me and going through all of these initial phases with the materials. I'm super excited to do this piece. There's some beautiful stuff that I'm playing with, that and colours and things that I think could look really brilliant. I love that it's a fairy piece, which is obviously very close to my heart, and I just think this could be a really, really interesting piece. So hope you're looking forward to seeing some of that come into fruition. I've got other things on the go as well, so there will be other videos dotted about, and you know, different elements of this might end up being a full video. Like I said, I'll probably have a video playing with the dip stuff because it's a new thing to me, so I'll need to play around with that. But I won't keep you any longer because I feel like this is a long video already, possibly. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Subscribe if you want to see the progress of this necklace and where we get to. And for the rest of you, I'll see you next time in Faewood. Bye, guys.